Welcome everyone to the Keep It Tight podcast. This is the first podcast between myself, Killian and Dan, and we're going to be talking about many different things about football, mainly regarding the philosophies of football. My name is Vinny, I'm from Dublin, and just to start off, just to know, to remove the bias, I'm an Arsenal fan.
I'm Killian, I'm also from Dublin, and I am a United fan. Manchester United, for all the Leeds fans out there who are getting confused now.
Right, yeah, I'm Dan from London. I have, as you can see from my background, Italian heritage. And I'm a Juventus fan for the bias. But I guess I'd be less biased for English clubs and talking about English football.
It's good to have Dan here anyway with us. We can talk about with mine and Killian's kind of lack of knowledge into Serie A and whatever else. It's good to have a bit of balance.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
throughout the course of hopefully more podcasts, we'll be talking about a lot of different topics. Again, as I said, it's more about philosophy. And to start off with, we're going to go with the idea of magic in football, or nowadays the lack thereof, and on where it's actually gone and the disappearance of magic. So in this kind of episode, we're going to be talking about individual footballers who we think to ourselves are magic and who we consider magic, what actually is magic, some particular moments of football is magic, and then some players who are kind of sitting between the borderline of magic and elemental. I feel like Killian and Dan will have a bit of a discussion regarding who's magic and who's not, and I'll chime in. So I guess we'll begin. So what do you guys feel is your kind of definition of magic?
Go ahead.
If I was to define magic, if I think of magic in football, there's just one name that comes to my head. It's Ronaldinho. It's just definition of magic. To me, probably the most naturally gifted footballer I've ever seen. Pure technique, and create something out of nothing. Take the ball down anywhere, never rushed. Just a pity he didn't apply himself more. But in terms of raw talent, magic, Ronaldinho is what comes to mind.
Well, how do you feel about it, Kill?
I definitely agree. Ronaldinho is magic. I guess just magic is something that you can have supremely technical players that will make you sit up in your seat, but like magic is something that just instantly takes your breath away. Is that we all play football, we all know like how to move with a ball, but you watch a magic player and you just think like, how did he or she manage to do that? That's out of this world.
Yeah.
There's only certain players that can do that, and the ones that are like do that consistently are like genuine magic.
Yeah, it's really about kind of those people who kind of get you off your seat, make you stand up and be in awe of their pure ability. It's not built out of, hard work, and it's somewhat hard work, but like it's not built out of like physicality or like something like Mbappe or Haaland who are like they're sheer physical forces of nature. But there's a significant difference between him and someone like Maradona or Messi. They don't need that physical prowess. They just have something inherently different to them, and it's quite obvious once they touch a ball.
Absolutely, I think it's, like you said, it's inherent. It's there. It's not a trained thing. You don't train magic. You have magic.
Any footballers that you guys want to start off on in particular? I mean, we'll just go through it. One of you guys bring it up, and then we just kind of talk through it. We'll talk about that footballer.
We should probably say that like because we are of a certain age, that like we realistically like we can't comment on the older ones, because then also we'd be here all day.
Yeah.
Like so kind of like the older generation of like magic, like say George Best, Platini, Liam Brady sort of way, like then like we probably don't have a good enough head from watching them week by week to actually say like from the stories, but like we'll have to like be reasonable about this as well.
Yeah.
I'd say an exception to that might be Maradona, just because.
Yeah, there's so much.
If there's any football fan who hasn't seen clips of Maradona playing.
That's very fair, yeah.
I guess that's a good place to start then, isn't it? Like, yeah, where do you even start with Maradona? Do you want to any lasting any specific memory that triggers, like, with you guys with Maradona?
It has to be that run against England, no?
Yeah.
That's just the top one, Mike.
So they described him afterwards in the paper as an angel, half angel, half devil, after that game, and I guess that's kind of perfectly sums up what happened in that game, right? Where you've had the hand of God initially to make it 2-1, and then 4 minutes later, possibly, maybe the best goal of the generation, possibly ever won football, arguably, can't say for certain, but like
at that stage,
definitely at that stage, yeah, and look, the circumstances involved also.
Like, that was a time when you could literally commit grievous bodily harm to someone on a football pitch and only barely get a yellow card. Like, and like, if you watch clips through that, like the whole of that match, like they didn't even try to play or shepherd them out. Like, they just went through the back and they were killing them, and then he still managed to do all that. Like, it's just part of the course of time, which makes it even all the more impressive that like Messi is magic nowadays, but if you put him in the 80s, like,
different story.
That's a discussion for another time, though.
Yeah. Definitely. I think also looking at the pitch, if you look at the pitch conditions, the ball doesn't run flat. That ball's bobbling up and down. Like, his control is just
there's a really nice clip of I think I talked to you about it before, Killian, where Gary Lineker was describing what Maradona was like after he died, and he's saying that the most amazing thing he ever saw was when they were doing like a charity game, a friendly game, and Maradona was just, in the dressing room before this charity game, just kicking his, doing kick BOPs with his socks, like it's fine. Then he just walked out on the pitch, kind of like laces untied or whatever, and then just start juggling the ball up and down, and it's fine. And then he just go smack, hit the ball 50, 60 feet in the air, and then go all the way up, and then as soon as it dropped back down, he just get it under control, still keeping up, and then he do it again and again and again. And people around him were like Gary Lineker and the likes of that, and then they try to replicate it later on, and then not a single one of them could do it more than twice or 3 times. Yet Maradona was just casually before a game just doing something stupid, ridiculous like that, and it just shows how inherently skilled and how like blessed he was with his footballing ability.
Absolutely, you can see his warm-up videos. He's almost dancing to music. He warms up, kicking the ball in the air, on his knees, on his head, neck.
Don't even know how he's warm. Like, he's just prancing about. Like, just all the cocaine.
And if we go from Maradona, then it just naturally moves on to someone like Messi, then, who's kind of heir to Maradona's throne. And I was talking like
heir, or has he overtaken it?
I think we all agree, don't we, in that sense?
Yeah, the consistency, the longevity. Like, the thing is just that, like, listen, if Higuain didn't bottle it, Messi would have a World Cup. Do you know what I mean? Like that, and then there'd be no debate whatsoever.
No.
But because of that, like, it's just Maradona had a good striker in form, and Messi did that World Cup. Do you know what I mean? So it's the margins were so fine. But I definitely, like, you take Messi, because like, he'd done it for how long? Since he was 17 with Barca? He's 35, nearly 34 now. It's
like we were talking yesterday, Dan, about like certain memories of Messi, and you brought up 2 very, very big ones. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I was just watching the video, the 2011 Champions League game against Real Madrid, where Busquets just got an assist just by holding the ball in the halfway line. Messi just took it off him and ran past 4 people and just dinked it over Casillas. Took it on with his right foot. It's
too easy. And then
easy.
Was it the year they won it in 2015? After Boateng winning the World Cup, winning by the leagues of Bayern
at that point.
Like, yeah, probably considered one of the best centre halves in the world at that point. Definitely one of the most physical centre halves at that point. Messi just took him inside his own box, went one way, went in the other, sat him on his backside. Well, that wasn't even the best part of the whole goal. It was what he did afterwards. Was then have the audacity to just dink it over Neuer with his right foot. Like,
Neuer, who didn't even go to ground. He didn't go to ground. He wasn't fully on the ground. He was still pretty much standing, and he still dinked them. Outrageous.
Like,
what he did to Boateng is just, it's career ending, really, isn't it?
Yeah, he hasn't been the same. Hasn't been the same player since, has he? Really?
No, he's shook. He's still got the yips, like.
But that's
just one cut on the left foot. He must get.
Yeah. But like that's the thing. These are moments that like only certain players can ever have like once or twice. Messi's this guy who has done it how many times in the career? Like what other player do you know?
You run out of fucking storage space to make highlight reels of Messi. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone to make highlight reels of fucking Paul Pogba or De Bruyne, but like, you get sick of watching highlight reels of Messi. There's so many without repeating. So it's just
like what's the goal that you said, like the Athletic Bilbao goal, Killian, you were saying?
And that was 3 years ago, I think.
That's just a joke of a goal.
Like that's when like he's over 30, like, and he runs half a pitch, goes past 4 lads in tight space, and then still finishes it like just. Yeah.
I knew.
It's just the Getafe goal.
Yeah.
The Maradona replay almost.
Yeah, that like, and what was he? How old was he at that stage? So
was it 19, 20?
Like scraggy long hair when he first came to like picked up the ball right hand side of the pitch, went through 6 players if they weren't there. Exactly, literally carbon copy of Maradona's goal at like 19, 20 years old, whatever it was. That's not something that you can just train for. Or like you just. It's only certain players in the world who can do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's done it again, but he's done that a couple of times, which is like, which is what was cemented. So, and
it's not against just like as I said there, like these are players like Jerome Boateng, Real Madrid's whole midfield and defense. Like,
he'll just up the whole game to keep Barcelona out, and in one moment he completely ruined their game plan. I think they played Pepe at CDM that game just to
sort of momentum. Yeah.
Wait, is that the game where they played Pepe and Ramos? Was that under Mourinho? Like there was one game where they played both of them, so they essentially had 4 centre backs on the pitch just to stop it, and just still
nowhere near.
That's like that is the definition of magic there, though, isn't it?
Absolutely, unlocking something which, in theory,
like your games are slowed down to a halt. The balls are moving, and the 2 banks of 4, and all of a sudden this player just just on a whim takes a ball and just produces something that's not that can't be done by any other person on the pitch in one instance, and the whole game just changes.
Yeah.
And like that's and then the whole momentum shifts. The whole stadium can feel it. Everyone stands up. Like that is magical. That is something that is very, very magical, and only certain players in the world who actually have that. And that brings me then to that topic. Like, I think we 3 of us like probably can agree that there's only 2 players in the world right now who we consider as magic.
Yeah, Messi, Neymar.
Yeah, Messi, Neymar. There's no other player that people would like genuinely basically pay to watch.
Don't keep it off at the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Constantly. Anytime they got the ball.
Yeah. Like I think there's definitely like we're getting to it later that like you can have a bit of magic as well, but you're not 100%. It's like we should definitely have
moments of magic.
Moments of magic. Yeah, but like it's so consistent. Like sometimes some players can like they've consistently had those touches like season over season that like they have like a bit of it in them. But I still wouldn't class them as magic. Like moments of magic is probably the best way to put it. You're right.
And most magic moments come from players who are 10s. I think we can just all agree that like 10 is probably arguably the most difficult position to find someone, because you just it's just you have that technique that's way superior to anyone else, and you have the ability to just do something that no one else can do, and that's where that's directly correlated to the idea of magic, I feel.
Yeah, well, 10 picks up the ball in between the lines. It needs to be under control very, very quickly, and you need to think in a split second. Now the way people play is a very structured, very formulated way of playing. There's no one who's going to be breaking those lines, really.
No. And there's not really any 10s in the world right now who are genuinely like that.
I mean, I don't know if that's because it's been forced out or because there is no 10s.
I guess it probably boils down to like just a cultural shift towards a more physical game, and a more physical regimented game, and coaching probably lean towards that in a way.
Like every single professional team now, like if they're in any way decently coached, like every single one can make a solid 2 banks of 4 in a defensive shape, and like if the space between them is so tight, like there's literally no room for a 10 to survive, even the best ones. Like, so if that's going all the way down through academy level, then it's like less need for it, and just like people quicker passing, getting it wide, and then just isolating one-on-ones. That's probably what they're taught nowadays, so that could lead to a lack of number 10s.
It is just a shame though, isn't it, that like even like that probably it shows the level of coaching's gone up in a way, but at the same time it removes that element of the game that everyone loves to see. Like you said, Dan, earlier, that what the definition, what you define as magic is Ronaldinho. How, like, is there another one of them ever going to be like something like that? Probably not.
Yeah, you say that level of coaching has gone up, but you'd like to think that a coach would encourage that sort of thing as well.
Yeah.
So you want a structured 4-4-2. Maybe the coaching is losing the fact that you're giving someone a flair. How many teams have give people freedom?
Very, very little.
It's so results based now that it's just.
It's easy. It's easy to be cynical than this.
I mean, there's only probably Messi and Ronaldo, probably the two. Maybe Neymar, where people just let them
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say they put Mbappe in that as well, because like France seemed to let him drift all over, and PSG as well. But that's PSG. PSG isn't a real club. As I sit here in Paris, I was screaming from the windows.
Well, if you look back on the 10s over time, like where you consider magic, there's just you can just roll them out, and you just never see some players that you'll never see something like, you know, a Totti or like Zola and a Del Piero of the Italian ilk, and then you don't see like someone like Bergkamp or Cantona the way they've revolutionised the game in England. Players like that are one of a kind, and it's a big, massive shame that we just don't see that. And it's not like we don't have 10s. We do have obviously 10s, but they just like, what player in the world do you think could make to score that goal that Bergkamp scored against Newcastle in 2002, where it just flicks it one way, completely goes around the defender as if they weren't there, and just rolls it in. Like,
I don't like the most effective 10 probably in the world on last season. Like Bruno Fernandes for United was class, but Bruno is not that sort of player. He's like a technically excellent player who knows how to get a goal and an assist. But like, you'd have Bergkamp every day because he'll see stuff Bruno could never see. Like,
I think I sent you a clip a while ago, Kill, about like that. Well, just the smallest little touch that Bergkamp had in the middle of the park. I think it was against Middlesbrough. It was one single touch. It was a ball flew out of the fence, and then Bergkamp had the audacity just to take a first touch in the middle of the park, play it. That was a 4-yard pass, not even probably 4 yards. That managed to go around a player and straight into Henry's stride. It was snap decision. He didn't even need to think. The ball flew straight at him, but he knew already. Henry's on his right shoulder. Defender's on his right shoulder. Just open his body up, right foot touch around the defender into Henry's stride. It was the smallest of small things, but it was the difference between someone who's like a good footballer and then someone who's a magical footballer.
Sorry, Dan, I cut across you that time. What were you going to say?
I was just saying Bruno Fernandes compared to Bergkamp is just not the same. You can't make that.
Yeah. No.
And that probably, like, he's probably
Bruno
one of those.
Is good, obviously, but I mean, he has had a lot of penalties, and I think nowadays with VAR, the number of penalties is just so much higher than it used to be. Just any little thing, it's
we can have an argument about Man United and penalties. But like, I was making the comparison of like, he's a much more direct and say second striker than he would have been an actual out and out number 10. Like, it's just the way the position and the formation they play is like, he's labelled as a 10, but if you see him, like, he's usually always the press trigger for United, so it's always they play a 4-4-2 a lot of the time. So he's not actually a number 10, and he doesn't have the magic like that someone like Bergkamp or Zidane would have.
Zidane, yeah.
Like, yeah, I think we probably have another discussion as well about how just with the change in football over the years, like, that number 10's like they were squeezed out of it, because even if you think the likes of, like, even going back to say like 2010 era, kind of like when Chelsea won the Champions League for the first time, like they had Mata playing as an actual number 10, scored like fucking loads of goals and assists that season. Like Ozil was peak of his game, like they were proper number 10s at that stage, and then as the years went on, like they became like
obsolete.
Nowhere near the players they were, like, because they had to adapt, and just there was no place for them playing to the best of their ability. Like David Silva technically could have called him number 10, but he managed to adapt his game to a number 8.
Yeah, and you can see in the last World Cup, sure. Like England arguably had one of the most talented players in the tournament, Jack Grealish, but they just couldn't afford to play him. There's no place in the team where they could afford to play a player, regardless how good he was going forward, but you just couldn't give the other half.
Yeah, but I'd argue that's how England played. They played a very defensive game.
Fair
you
enough.
don't have a very. I wouldn't say if you were the team which always had the ball and everyone sat back against you, you'd be having that type of player in your lineup to break down those defenses. But if you're sitting back, holding on to a 1-0 lead, you're not going to be having those type of players.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on and move on to like the idea of like what players are on the verge of magic or has some magic and then just, but they're probably not magic.
Can we introduce the scale?
That's scale. There is a magic scale.
That was telling you this. The scale.
There's a magic scale where like there's one end of the magic scale is like, I think Ronaldinho is definitely the most magical player ever, 100%. And then the other end is going to be someone like, I don't want to pick centre halves, but it's going to have to be like a really bulky centre half.
Yeah, it's a big blocky centre half. Like it's like first touch of the clearance, you head the ball.
Centre half.
Keane, Chris Samba.
Even just Chris Samba, that's the thing. Like it goes from Chris Samba to Ronaldinho. That's the scale. Like,
but what's someone in the middle then? What's the number 5? If it was 0 to 10.
like that'd probably be like everything after that is just like more and more moments of magic. So you want.
What did you say?
Like a Pogba?
Pogba probably be a good 5.
Yeah, because he has like
Moments.
he has 2 or 3 moments of magic like per season, but like they're so few and far between that it's just there's no consistency.
Yeah.
So we're going Chris Samba, Paul Pogba, Ronaldinho. That's a good scale.
Where does, I guess, the player that we're going to kind of debate about, Luis Suarez? Where do we put him?
Look, I'm putting Suarez up like at a 9, like on that scale. Like he's close. Like because there's. Look, like we need to still go into like the difference between something like players who are like elemental or like force of nature compared to actually magic. But like Suarez has just done so many, like, and this is saying as a United supporter, like he does stuff that you do not expect so consistently that do make you get out of your seat. Like, and
I guess that goal against PSG for Barcelona is probably one of them. I guess
two goals in the same game. Where, like, I don't know how you could nutmeg some 7 yards away with them absolutely know what you're going to do, but you made David Luiz look like a tit.
But it wasn't even that wasn't even like the moment that I thought was ridiculous about that goal.
No, it was after. It was after where like every other number 9 in the world would have like thrown the eyes and slotted it away. He just went like, no, fuck that. This is going top bins, and curled it around and into the top bin. It's just like that's ridiculous. That's not even technical proficiency. That's just absolute wildness. That like is pure magic for me, anyway. And he does that like he did that for Barcelona consistently and Liverpool. Like they would have been shadowed.
I feel like it was more magic for Liverpool in a way. I guess
he had that aura.
Like especially at Norwich. Jesus
Christ. God, no, we're gonna take Norwich out because it's just like
poor Ruddy. Like
you have to take Norwich out of the equation, and just even consistently against big teams in the league, he constantly produced like every time, and he did things that just made you go.
How do you feel about Suarez, Dan?
Oh, I disagree with that.
Fair.
A 9 on that scale with him, to me is a Messi, Maradona.
Yeah,
I thought that would put him at 10. Like,
I think I agree with Dan here.
He's a very good goal scorer, very proficient goal scorer, a scorer of great goals, but he's not magic. To me, he's niggly. He looks at that nutmeg, and if he doesn't get it, the ball bounces back to him and he carries on. He looks for little things, but he's not magic to me.
What about like, do you feel like Eden Hazard and him are on the same scale then? If you think that, Dan, I don't believe that, but
Hazard's a difficult one to really.
Because he also has moments of magic, right? Not as many. Maybe.
Hazard has moments of magic. He's more of a dribbler, I don't know if he creates something that's not there necessarily.
Like that brings I think there's
he's a good player that gets his goals, he gets his assists, and he was so important for Chelsea. But like I never think he scored great goals, which made you go, oh wow. But
I think he's a 5. I think he's like Pogba for me.
Do you think he's a 5? I think a bit more. I think I give him more credit.
5.5, just slightly above, I think.
Then who would be a 7?
De Bruyne.
Really?
No.
Okay.
There's something about the way he plays that just like either him or David Silva. Silva's like
David Silva, fair enough.
He's a magician. Like
he's
consistent.
6.5.
Yeah.
I think David Silva is more magic than De Bruyne.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like if De Bruyne didn't have his physicality, like he's a bit of a force of nature in a way.
Yeah.
If I'm honest,
he has the pace,
the power.
He's not.
He's no more magic than Pogba.
No.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think he's any more magic than Pogba. If I'm honest,
really, I think he just can.
Like Pogba, I think
Pogba's more magic than.
I think Pogba's more magic too.
Yeah.
I think there's moments in games where Pogba takes you off your seat than De Bruyne. In the way, yeah, I do believe that. Yeah.
Maybe I just have a bias here. It's just like we know he can produce it, but like it never comes out for United. So maybe that's my bias here.
Like I think this is gonna it's back to that elemental thing, like how we define like there's magic and then there's kind of elemental. Like some players are genuinely pure elemental, like Haaland, Mbappe. They're just pure elements, like Sadio Mane. They're just raw forces of nature who take the game by the scruff of the neck and just take it. It's not they force the issue. They're not just like they don't find pockets and then all of a sudden have a moment. They just force the issue game long.
That's why I'd say Suarez is similar to that. He forces it a lot. He keeps going. I'd say he has moments of magic.
Yeah. I wouldn't say, but I think Suarez is probably like a 7 though, if I'm honest. Well, not a 9, but definitely a 7.
No, not a 9.
A 9 is like Ronaldinho's a 10. Ronaldinho is just a 10, and then Messi is definitely like a 9.
Messi's probably 9.5. Same with Maradona 9.5. Those sort of. Yeah. No, I can't.
Like
I changed my opinion.
What like then you talk about players like where's the Dan?
8.
Yeah, okay. Like Iniesta is probably the same.
Ooh, I'd put Iniesta like the 7. I don't know. There's something about the way Dan was just so tall and he was so elegant. Like players that big shouldn't be able to move like the way he did.
The balance of Dan is crazy.
Yeah, and that's kind of what made it so much more like balletic. You know what I mean? The way he could actually shit. Like, he's 6'1", and the way he could move with a ball, it was
like a gazelle, like going across the pitch. It was.
Yeah. It's like a gazelle doing step overs around the world. It's like it's just.
Yeah. That performance against Brazil in the 2006 World Cup.
34?
No, I think he's 36, isn't he? I don't know, but regardless, it was his last game ever, and the fact that it was his last game ever, and he was dancing around players like Kaká, Ronaldinho, like they're just these best players in the world. They're just not there.
Well, even like the 2006, like the final, like Italy were like they were a great team, but like they had to stop Zidane as well. And at 34, 35, like that showed like because what was just like Pirlo and Gattuso, like just trying to like stop him. It's just like he was just so hard to get hands on.
To Dink.
Yeah.
One of the greatest goalkeepers ever.
In the World Cup final.
That's if you want the moment of magic. It's just like
the last ever game.
But I think that's another. I think that word also resonates with the people who are Magic. The audacity of some of these players to do some of the things they do.
Yes.
Like, you know, Mo Salah, for instance, will never do any of these things. He'll never like even think about doing these things.
He's too clinical.
Yeah, like it's
He's drilled. He's been drilled to score.
Like yeah. But like, you know, okay, I don't very divided opinion kind of player, but like I was talking to Dan about this yesterday. Like even like Ozil, for instance, like that moment of magic against like Ludogorets or whatever, where he scored that goal in the Champions League, he just like the audacity to dink it over the keeper, not just dink it over the keeper and continue on. No, he didn't just slot it away. He had to dummy it, put the two lads defenders on their ass first, and then to slot it away. Like that's the cheek of that.
You think that like we kind of, I think there's a recency bias with Ozil that you kind of like let it all slip away. But also, it's like I was saying earlier with like changing the systems, there's less room for a 10 to be a 10.
Yeah.
Because like when he was at Real Madrid for what 3-4 seasons, like he was unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember Madrid fans hated the fact that he left.
Yeah, like he was
unbelievable. I think Ronaldo hated the fact that he left.
Yeah.
He lost about 20 assists a season though, 20 goals a season.
Yeah, it's just like he was one of those lads that's just like, you know, when you see like those images on social media where it's like, how did De Bruyne or Ozil see this when the person isn't even in the picture and he's facing completely the opposite way? Like he was able to consistently do something like that. Like, yeah, no, I always thought he was excellent, but I wouldn't.
I don't think he's pure
Ozil as a. I'd put Ozil as like a 7.5.
I think 7.
Yeah, like he's around, like he's not Zidane. You know what I mean? He's not Iniesta. Like, but
he can't carry the ball across the pitch.
I'd put him over David Silva. I think. Did you give David Silva 7?
I agree there.
You got to lower the David Silva in what 6.5?
Like David Silva can't do that. Like he would never dink the keeper and sit two defenders on their ass and slot it in. He wouldn't do that. He'd probably just would slot it the first time around a keeper. Just players who wouldn't do that.
He would just pass it and found Aguero or something to put it away. Like he's just there
is this different type. Like the word audacity does ring through some of these players.
Yeah, because like when you think audacity, like I just do think Cantona, and like I'm very, very hard to find a place for him on that scale because like he was actually such a ridiculously physical player as well. Like
so was Bergkamp.
So was Bergkamp's what 6'2", but Bergkamp was like lean and skinny, where Cantona was a bit of a tank. But there's like I just can't put my finger on it why he was just so.
Well, he changed game though, didn't he? At the same time,
he changed game. Well, he changed the entire history of United technically. So
not just United, I think the whole English football.
The Premier League as a whole, probably, yeah. Like there's a game where they played Sheffield Wednesday, I think, in like the FA Cup semi-final or something, where he lobs the keeper, but like he's in the box and the keeper is literally a foot outside a 6-yard box. It's like, who the fuck lobs a keeper from there? It's just like.
Was that the game? Was that the game where he turned around and celebrated and just took us two hands in the air?
No. So that was a different one.
The teammate,
who does that? Done it several times, and that madness was there, like with Cantona as well. Like it is in most Magic players, like, do you know what I mean? It's just like so I'd probably put Cantona on like
8.
See, I wouldn't put him on par. Well, see,
he is though.
He is, but like then it's kind of like
if Bergkamp goes 8, he goes 8. I put Bergkamp at 8.
I put Bergkamp 8. It's like Cantona. I just really think 7.75, just something a little bit less because he was so physical. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just like I thought that. It was more to his game than just like they all had so much to their game, but he was. Yeah, it wasn't like just that inch bit of magic, just less. But like even like you're to see the assist for Dennis Irwin. I'll send it on to you later. Where like a ball comes in and basically Dennis Irwin runs from left back, and then it isn't like all he does is that like he flicks it like up and over the whole defense for Irwin doing the late run from defense, and Irwin just volleys it into the goal. And it was just like that was one of those moments where he's facing the wrong way, like he shouldn't be able to see where the offside line is, and he just puts it over the top. Like it's effortless, and it's something that like literally no one else in that league would have thought to do, and he just like did it out of like nonchalance. It's like that was absolute magic.
That's probably the best word to describe him ever, isn't it? Nonchalant, the way he does things. Like, and I think that's probably similar to another player that I saw a clip earlier, and I was like, oh, that's perfect for a podcast. Do you remember that clip of Berbatov? He's going down the line.
Just about to bring Berbatov.
He was not putting Berbatov anywhere near man. Like he was just so casual. Like
that moment though, where he's like down the line.
As magical.
I looked
more magical than De Bruyne,
David Silva.
Like, I think I need to lower David Silva's rating. I think I'm going to put him as a 5.5.
I think a 6 is probably a good spot for him. It's just how he evolved his game is just diminishes his impact.
I think he evolved the English game because how many small technical players were in the Premier League?
Well, I guess he came at a time when like Fabregas was there. Mata was there.
But he's not small. Was Mata there before David Silva?
That's it. I think he was the same time basically, wasn't he?
Like Skulls came up through.
Yeah, Skulls.
Skulls only 5'8", like.
Different position though. Different position.
Different, yeah.
Like he was even more of a vulnerable position, like in the engine room. He's coming up against lads like Vieira and Batty, and it's like. Do you know what I mean? So,
would you? This player, in my mind, I think he is magical. Well, a lot of players don't, just because of his sheer physicality. Again, you were just saying it with Cantona there, it kind of takes it away a little bit. But like original Ronaldo.
Oh no, the pure magic.
Like that guy.
Pure magic. Like I fully believe if he hadn't had the knee injuries, he would have gone down best
ever.
He is for me the best number 9
ever.
Yeah, he just
even with his injuries.
Yeah, like you can't, like I don't know how you go into a World Cup overweight and still score 9 goals and win it for your team. But you know, that's just it's.
I think that 2002 World Cup, he was injured pretty much the entire season. I think he came back a few weeks before the World Cup, and that's what he did. Which is outrageous.
Like, have you ever watched? I watched the YouTube video. It has like, I don't know how many millions of views it has of him. It's just a 7-minute video of him, of his clips, and his feet were a joke. This guy was severe, like, you know, he's pretty hefty up top. Even in his like good days, he was fucking hefty.
Tank of a lad, like, Jesus, he's so chunky, like, but he was
able to do like within like 4 seconds flat. He could do like 15 to 20 step overs and do an elastico, and then still run onto the ball and just slot it away as if keepers aren't there. Like no striker. Like I can't remember the numbers. It was how many times he took it around a keeper to then slot it away. But the number is something stupid. It's like 40 something times he's gone around a keeper and put it into the goal.
He runs them all. I think you can just hear it from the defenders' reviews of him. You've had like defenders like Maldini, who's played against everyone pretty much. He's played like 3 or 4 generations. I think he started against Maradona, Platini, so many good players. Even against Cristiano Ronaldo, and he just said, "R9 was the best he's ever faced."
There was a nice clip of the France training camp. Before the 1998 World Cup final, of I think it was like Desailly and Thuram, and they're taking the piss of like how do we defend against R9? Like, he was what age was he in the 1998 World Cup? Like 19 years old or something? Probably no, wait, he was 17. He was 1796. So I think it's not 19 or like 20 years old, and they're scaring the life of these like. Hall of Flame type of defenders.
There's the iconic picture of I think it's Fabio Cannavaro and Paolo Maldini both sliding together.
And then he's got Lionel.
Ronaldo. Yeah. iconic picture. You need to look it up. I'll send it to you after. It's absolutely iconic.
Like
he's the only player I think that I can remember ever getting a standing ovation at Old Trafford after he scored a hat-trick against
that game. That game was a joke, though, wasn't it?
That was 4-3. Ridiculous. Like,
this was past his.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's past his peak as well. Like,
I think he already had 2 knee injuries by this point. So, I think that's another thing which magical players, they get standing ovations from even the biggest rivals. If you look at Ronaldinho, I think he was at Real Madrid Stadium, and he had an outrageous game, and they gave him a standing ovation.
Yeah, I think the only players that ever done that was Maradona, him, Iniesta, and Messi. I think there are only 4 players ever who's gone at Real Madrid Stadium versus a Barcelona player.
Especially off Real Madrid, Jesus Christ! Like that's another level together, because I think they're the worst fans in the world. But like, we'll get onto that in another stage. we can have an entire like chat about like the philosophy of what it actually means to be a fan, and like when it's alright to be a shithouse and not. But some other time.
What players are purely elemental and zero magic?
I think that all of the top bracket elemental players do have their moments of magic. Like, I've never seen, like, you could argue, like, you could probably say, like, just from our perspective, like Roy Keane, like, he was a force of nature, but like, and he was technically amazing, but like,
doesn't get you off your seat.
No, like, it's just like, he's the player everyone wants in their team, but like, he's not the person that makes you fall in love with football.
No.
Well, everyone knows, like, if you're offered through any generation, do you want Roy Keane in your team? It's like, yeah, absolutely. It's like, yeah, in terms of elemental, like, actually, do you know what? Probably Fernando Torres.
Yeah.
He, for me, again, Liverpool player. I thought he was unbelievable, but like, you saw what happened once he lost his pace and his explosiveness after his injuries. He just was nowhere near the same player. Like, there was no even near moments of magic from him then. So it was all just built on raw physicality. And maybe Torres is an example of that.
But they go zero in our scale.
I feel hard to put Torres beside Chris Samba.
I think we should probably make it like a double-edged kind of scale.
What, you mean like a -2 as Chris Samba?
I think we should probably, like, a 0 is probably like Haaland, if you get me. As in, like, one side is elemental and one side is pure magic, and some players can sit perfectly in the middle, as you said, like Paul Pogba. He's a absolute force of nature. But at the same time, moments.
We go what then? Then do you want to go Torres to Ronaldinho then?
Yeah, probably. I think Torres and Haaland are in the same bracket, don't you think?
I'd say Torres has a little bit more magic than Haaland.
Yeah.
Well, he's a 1.
He's a 1 and Haaland's a 0 then.
Yeah. Haaland is a 0 magic. He's just a
brute. Yeah, brute force. Then I've been thinking about this player for a while, and I've been thinking about how to describe him. Where do you put Thierry Henry?
3.
How do you feel about that, Kill?
You actually dropped there for a second. Sorry, say that again.
Thierry Henry.
Oh, magic.
See? Like,
absolutely, like we're Irish, so we've got reason to not like it.
Well, I can't. I don't care.
I deny. Vinny, you're Irish. You should hate him just too much. But
he could do that twice more against Ireland, and me as an Arsenal fan will still love him as much as I have. You literally.
No, yeah, I got it for you.
You bought me an Henry picture.
No, doesn't mean that, like, it's not a French jersey. Like, you can still appreciate a cunt.
But I don't know. I'd put him as a 3.
Do you think he's that elemental, that much more elemental than he is magic? Do you not think he has any magic at all?
I think when he lost his pace, you could tell that he's
fair.
When he lost his pace, he didn't have anywhere near as an effect.
No, that's very fair.
That's fair, but like, you think that, like, he didn't lose his pace until
Barcelona. I think basically after winning Champions League, Barcelona was basically when he lost everything.
Yeah.
What age was he then? Was he 29, 30 then?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He still had what, 9-10 years of, like, there's that against. He brought out loads of moments of magic against United. Like, the flick around the corner. I remember someone then, like, the ball just comes to him, he just flicks it up and he does a volley at like shoulder height into the top corner against us.
Yeah, that goal was a ridiculous moment of his career. Like to have somebody on your back, it's not like the player was like a little bit far away. He was literally on his back. His arm was touching the other player. He flicked it up to himself, like shoulder height, as he said, and just turned the body to the top corner.
Yeah, like if you're not Magic, you don't do that. That's what I mean. You try and roll the player, or like Drogba would have rolled the player.
Yeah. Drogba's a solid 0 in our scale. Like.
Oh yeah,
Drogba's elemental.
No, like elemental. Like moments of magic, as in terms of like the header against Bayern to equalise for Chelsea. Moments of magic, but that's not.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing at the same time.
I think Henry was a magical player, but
because he did get you off your seat.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that was using
physicality. Yeah. It's like.
But then when we look at the scale, I wouldn't put Paul Pogba above him.
No, you wouldn't.
Absolutely.
I think Henry's probably like a 6, 7. Like
he's on the same scale as Silva. Like that's what I mean. Like they're different players, but like they produce the same sort of, maybe a bit higher than Silva.
I think he's higher than Silva. I think he's about 7.
Yeah.
Like him and Suarez are probably I think quite similar. Like in a sense, they both produce moments of magic. But Suarez doesn't need the physicality that Henry had, though.
So where would you put Mbappe?
0.
No,
it's
maybe,
definitely not 0. I think there's more. I think there's more to come from him, because I think that like we're still so early with Mbappe and Haaland that like these aren't going to be the finished products. But
I can't see Haaland being magic.
I don't see that either. Haaland's a brute force. Like
no, that's fair. But Mbappe is kind of like, he shows little glimpses in matches that like it's not just a knock it by and run. Like there's turns, there's step overs, there's twists, there's intelligent play there that like he could evolve. A bit of magic could spring true. So I think I'd put him 3-4. Would
you not say he's similar to Henry?
No.
Henry had more. He had more imagination. Henry had more imagination.
Look at some of the goals of Henry scored. Like,
but then again,
go on.
He's 22. He's 22.
He's 22. He is 22.
Like,
but compare him now with 22 to what Henry was doing at 22.
Henry's, they're pretty on the same trajectory in a way. Henry won the World Cup. He won the World Cup at 22. They both won their leagues at 22.
What frightened you when you played Henry? What would frighten you? Would be his pace, wouldn't it?
His dribbling actually was like fast. I think
his dribbling was better than Mbappe's for sure.
Not just that, but he sells a 6'2".
Yeah, like Mbappe just looks like, what is Mbappe, 5'10", and he's lean, whereas Henry had like big shoulders and long arms, but he was like, that whole Arsenal squad apparently were monsters, and you just never realised it. Like
do you remember that game against Real Madrid, where Henry basically took on the whole team and just scored a goal? Like again, Fabregas got a similar assist to Busquets that game. Fabregas touched the ball, Henry took it off him. I mean, Fabregas 40-yard pass to Henry. Henry pushed away the original Ronaldo, went by Guti, went by someone, I can't remember the other person, and then went 1v1 Ramos and just slotted past Casillas. And then what was the worst thing about, what was the most amazing thing afterwards was that at the end of the game, have you ever seen the clips at the end of the game where he's like, he basically runs the ball into the corner of the pitch, and then fucking Sergio Ramos he flew in a slide tackle or whoever it was, and just nonchalant as could be, just skipped over him.
That's what it was, yeah.
Like, that is quite magical in that sense. And I'm biased, obviously.
Like, no, like even like you have me saying that, who like I don't like Henry as a player for like what he's an incredible player, but like for all the like the pain he caused United and pain he caused Ireland, like I've reasonably biased against him, but even I could admit that like he's incredible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're putting Henry 7.
I believe he goes 7.
I believe he goes just under. I believe he's about 6.5.
6.5. So it's Dan. That's what, like, I'm just tracking here now because I actually just want to write this down. So we got Haaland at the elemental end, who's like the 0 magic. Torres the 1. Pogba's like if we're doing a seesaw, Pogba's the bit in the middle.
Yeah.
And then on the end, you got Ronaldinho, just 9.5. Messi, Maradona. Then it goes like Zidane, Henry, Suarez.
Where's Neymar?
Ooh,
8.5.
8.5. Yeah.
Above the Dan?
Yeah. Yeah.
See,
So that-
I might just, it's because like he just has so much I would say unnecessary flair that I kind of don't even know if it's magic anymore. It just seems like it might be arrogance, like because like magic has a use. Do you get me?
I get what you mean, but again, I think the reason why I'm saying both Zidane is back to what you were saying about Cantona. It's just that the physicality just took away a bit, a little bit away because they used that to their advantage, and that's like Neymar doesn't have any physicality.
No, it's true. Like it's all technique, it's all talent, it's all.
Is he using his magic?
To the most of ability, probably not. Like he is
Is he
definitely.
effectively using his magic? Was he using his magic at the halfway line just to?
Yeah, but he gets you off your seat.
Yeah.
And like that's, I guess, a requirement in a way. So
Like in fairness, he was doing the same stuff that he did to players when he was playing for Santos in Brazil. He was doing the same thing at Barca, and he's doing the same thing now at PSG. So it's not like it's all the same flicks and tricks as well. And like I say, sometimes he does it like uselessly because just for the show. But then again, like the League One is not as good. But he was still doing that stuff in Barca as well. So he does use his magic.
Do you remember that?
I against Neymar as well.
Do you remember that goal he scored? I think it was against Villarreal for Barcelona. He touched the ball. He was in the middle of the box. The ball went over him. He flicked the ball over his own head, and the defender behind him swiveled.
Yeah, I remember that.
Did a 360 and just volleyed the bottom corner. Like, who would do that? Who would think to flick the ball over your own head and the defender and swivel 360 and then volley it in? No, he doesn't just roll the defender, take it, none of that.
So then that puts him then.
Hey,
Was he a 9 or 8.5?
8.5.
Probably 8.5.
For me, 8.5.
Like,
He's not in that Maradona bracket.
No.
Imagine put Ronaldo.
Fuck Ronaldo.
I think he is literally the hardest one because he's
I think
a physical specimen, but he is not elemental. Like
I saw something describing him as something. He had the physicality of a great physical player, but someone was saying he had the feet of Messi, Maradona.
He did though. If anything, he probably had.
Earlier days, his United days is incredible. Like
No, wait.
never take the ball off.
Wait, you're talking about? I think me and Dan are talking about original Ronaldo, right?
I'm talking about R9, yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Cristiano.
R9s though, like I would have had him as a 9 on the scale because I think Messi and Maradona are 9.5s, whereas like R9 are.
Yeah,
he's
I agree.
I believe that, yeah. just one Neymar, yeah.
Like, do you remember that Messi moment where he's in City, he's on the edge of just on the halfway line, and Milner comes flying in to close him down, and he just casually just nutmegs him, and Pep just puts his hands in his face, like who does that? Who does that?
That's where like you kind of wanted to see a Sol Campbell-esque slide from Milner, and like he carries off the pitch like down the tunnel and into the dressing room. Like you just don't want him to come back onto the pitch after that.
He had probably like a second of time. Milner was flying at him. He didn't panic. Didn't even think of a passing teammate. No. I'm just gonna rinse this guy, fucking embarrass him, sit him on his ass, and then I'm gonna continue on my day.
Yeah, we do need to talk about the other Ronaldo though, because I have no idea where he goes.
He's pure elemental.
I don't even think he is.
I think 5.
Do you think he's 5?
I maybe just like I would put him higher than Pogba because he's like he was like he has like consistently so many moments of magic, but it's not like.
But it's elemental though.
It all stems from physicality.
I think he has the capacity to do things which others wouldn't.
Fair.
I'm thinking the overhead kick against Juventus, against us.
Yeah, that's just
the goal against Porto.
The goal against Porto. I think if you're talking about Real Madrid Ronaldo and then talking about United Ronaldo, I think they're very two different ones.
They're two different people.
Like United Ronaldo would 100%. I'd put them up with Pogba in like a 6 or 7 because he was just frightening, right? Like. The ball at his feet, he could literally take the game, and then all of a sudden change it in a moment.
like he had the flair and he was a showman. That's when he had a lot more magic at United than he would have had at Real. Real, he just turned into this like clinical
machine
killer of a striker. That's
like I think at the Real Madrid Ronaldo, I think he's about a 2.
Yeah.
Maybe a 3.
Yeah.
But the Man United one, he's a good 6.5 probably.
6, yeah, 6.5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I'd put him as a 5. I think he's one of those who's a little bit in between.
Fair enough.
like I would have put him as we just go halves then and just say 5.5 because then it's between like he's a bit more than Pogba, but he's still less than Silva.
So I think his game relies more on his
physicality now. Like I think his game has evolved so much, which is also a big reason why he's so good. That he's managed to evolve into from basically a showman, as you said, in his United day, to this absolute clinical monster.
It was like it's like so okay. Late stage Ronaldo is a 2, early stage Ronaldo is
6,
a
6.
6.
6.
So middle ground is a 4.
Yeah, I think 4 for you is probably a good spot.
4.
Yeah. Well, where would you go for players such as Paul Scholes and Andrea Pirlo?
The thing is about them, they're so technically excellent, and they do have moments of magic, but they don't
get you off your seat. That's the only issue, isn't it? Very rarely.
They score goals that you just go, holy Christ, and they do get you off your seat, but like they were like Scholes and Pirlo are exactly the sort of players like that Busquets is now, is that like we're only going to appreciate them as they got older and then retired. Like everyone in the football world knew how good Scholes and Pirlo were, but like from the outside view, just personally, like you didn't appreciate them until you realised, oh, they're actually incredible. Like,
well, I think for Pirlo, a lot of English people only realised after the game against England in 2012 when he
100%.
the game.
I agree with that.
I think in the football world, I think a lot of people knew about it. I think you like look at the story of Sir Alex Ferguson when he put Park Ji-sung Park against him. He just had him on him the whole entire game. He had other players on the pitch like Ronaldinho, I think, was there, but he wasn't focused on him. Was focused on Pirlo as the key player. But it's a different type of magic, isn't it?
It's a different type of magic. Yeah.
It is. It's a third case, like so. Because
they're elemental.
They're not elemental. No, they're a whole different thing.
Like they're in a separate bracket. Like they're in a swing set just across from the seaside. Like the seesaw. It's
yeah. There's loads. I think there's lots of players in that bracket though. I feel.
Like in that bracket, like I would put players kind of like Busquets and Xabi Alonso.
Xavi.
Like, I think Xavi, yeah. Like I don't like. Yeah, they don't fall into the scale, like which means that like they do have some magic, but they're not.
They're not all. They're not.
You never think of them if you hear the word magic. Like
no.
You never think of them if you hear the word elemental. So technically, this is a fake scale that doesn't take in everyone, but it's.
Yeah,
I think the scale only kind of factor in players who could be magic. I think I don't think they're that ilk.
No.
Like it's really only attacking like basically 10s and ups nearly like.
Yeah.
Let's be real about it.
Like. Yeah, that's true. Like you could say that just because of his set piece delivery, and it's like Roberto Carlos sort of a way. Like that's like only had like 2, 3, 4 moments of magic like that were incredible, but you wouldn't put him on a magic scale.
No, he's like he wasn't cheeky. He wasn't audacious in his approach towards the game.
Power,
he's elemental in the way.
What about Marcelo?
He's more magic than Roberto Carlos, 100%.
Yeah, true. He's done some seriously cheeky stuff over the years, like
the ball control, like unnecessarily in the middle of the. Sometimes it is very very good, but I don't know if he's magic because he hasn't used it to an effect. I don't think.
Yeah.
Whereas like all the players we talk about, like they're not just pure magic. They're magic with actual like effectiveness on the pitch.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some players that we.
That's it. Like it's like this is the problem is that like they are so like we can throw loads of people onto the scale, but like everyone that we mentioned so far, like Ronaldinho, Messi, Zidane, Neymar, like Ronaldo, like they're the ones that stand out because genuine Magic players are so hard to come by.
Yeah. Well, I've got an interesting one. Is Kaka.
Oh,
Elemental.
Really?
Yeah.
He had the physicality, like, and then
He is a bit of magic. He's like Torres.
No, he definitely has some, like, he's more than Pogba, like
Henry. If you're gonna put Henry as a 6.
Nah, Henry's different though. Henry's cheeky. He's a cheeky bollocks, and he's like, and the things he does.
You don't think what Kaka did against United, where he lifted over the defender, headed it in between.
I know, but like in fairness, that
is not magic.
That's that was Kaka's greatest strength was his unbelievable control combined with his powerful running, like, and just he absolutely did the 2 United defenders. I fucking hate watching that goal back. Like, just wonder, like, just clear it, like, or like there's 2 of you there, one of you kill him, and you won't get sent off. And it's just
magic because it started from a goal kick.
Yeah,
the goalkeeper blew it up to one player on his own against what was it 3?
Yeah, went down the left wing.
The ball in the back of the net at Old Trafford.
Just
I think he's about magic.
More like I thought it was always his physicality. Like there's that game where he's playing against Brazil, for Brazil against Argentina, against an 18-year-old Messi, and he just shrugs Messi off and leaves him in the dirt and outpaces him with the ball, and then goes past him or 2-3 players, and then just slots it in. And it's like, yeah, there's a bit of magic there, but it's more elemental. Like.
You can't argue for Henry.
Oh, you can though. Like there's
Kaka.
Have you ever seen the clip for Henry against? I think it was against Wigan when he scored for a free kick. He scores it. He takes a free kick early. He scores it, and the referee makes him retake it, and then literally takes the swinging free kick, scores it again, turns to the referee, and goes, "Is that enough?" You know, like
yeah, I think Henry's got more magic than Kaka. Like I think Kaka's more elemental. Like he's just.
A 3.
I disagree. I think Kaka's got more magic than Henry.
Oh wow, that's interesting. That is.
Yeah.
But then again, this is the difference, isn't it? Like me and Kid.
We're gonna have to split the difference on this. Like,
me and Kid, like we watch the English league. He watches the Italian league.
This is true. Yeah.
It's gonna differ for that. But
yeah.
That might So what do we need to like? Can anyone call in a German real quick? Just to sort this, or
like he did have absolute flair, 100%, but it's not. I don't know.
But like, if we can't agree, and we've already said that Henry's a 6, then we think one is better than the other. Then we just call it a 6 and grumble. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Henry and Kaka then the equal 6. Of which definitely people with different opinions will absolutely be like, no way, Henry's an 8 or Kaka's a 9 or whatever.
I think a lot of Premier League watchers are gonna choose Henry.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's what comes to our
A lot of people think Henry is the greatest Premier League player.
He is, just so you know. He is. Everyone said it. Like even pro players have said it. Like he is. I don't get who you can argue against to fair case. Consistency, longevity, at that, like, to play his peak for every single season, bar his first year, for his whole entire Arsenal career.
Oh, like don't go with like consistency, because then like Giggs has wiped the floor at everyone, even though he's nowhere near.
Yeah, but his peak is not even.
I know it's nowhere near. Like you can't base it on consistency. Like you base it on like how unbelievably good Henry was.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Like it's a bit of the peak. It's a whole Messi and Ronaldo thing. It's like they managed to be at that peak and be consistently at that peak forever. Henry was like that, but at Arsenal, no player reached the heights. Like Suarez 100% had a better season.
Sure. He scored 23 goals and 19 assists one season.
You can make an argument for sure.
You can make an argument for sure, and then
Really?
Did never hit the peak of Henry, and he never had consistent, and then never stayed at the peak.
I don't know. Like that's like Vin, you know, like I've got a thing about Rooney where I don't really give him as much credit as he deserves for United, but like if you're picking a team, like I'd want Henry over Rooney.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way to gauge it. Is like, who do you want in your team? Because people were always saying about Aguero when he just left City. There, it's like, oh, is he the best import ever? It's like, no, he's not. No, he's not. It's like,
you'd be crazy to pick Aguero over Henry.
Like not only mentioned, but the years that Aguero played in the Premier League compared to the years that Henry played in the Premier League, the teams that they're playing consistently, season in, season out, where.
Yeah, like Henry played against like monsters of defenders and monsters of teams, like the United teams that Ferguson had. Like you can't compare them to some of the teams that Aguero's played against.
Like the Leeds team at the time were incredible as well. Like Chelsea were starting to come into their pomp. Like they were. It was a tougher time back then as well for strikers. So it's like. Like it is hard. It's probably between Henry and Shearer for best ever player.
Was Shearer Premier League?
Shearer Premier League, yeah.
It was. As in, like, had it changed the Premier League by that point?
Yeah. Like
he won the first one, didn't he? The second one. No, United won the first one, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Leeds won the Division 1, all Division 1, and then it was Shearer. Shearer only came to the fore in the early 90s. Then he won it with Blackburn. And then was Newcastle, but he's 260 goals in the Premier League, like. So.
No magic though.
No, I know. he's absolutely like fucking no. He's like a big, dirty, bull-headed Geordie, just smashing in goals. Like,
do we need magic in the game now?
Yeah.
Not. I'm not talking as a spectator, by the way.
No, yeah, even as a. Yeah. Magic.
Like, otherwise, like, I don't know about you guys, but I think that something like American football is completely vapid of magic. It's just set plays, constantly tactics, who can get it through. You see occasionally some guy flip over another guy trying to tackle him, but like, there's no.
But football's going to turn into that in a way, though.
That's what I mean. It's like that's even more of an argument, like why you need players who have magic, because, like.
Absolutely. I think watching the Euro final, England went up and they just sat back. We just lacked that little bit of magic. Yeah. And the closest thing we had was to put Insigne as a striker and make him drop in as a 10, as a false 9. Mm-hmm. That was the closest we had to magic to unlock that. And unfortunately, we couldn't unlock the defense like that, but we got it for a set piece instead.
Yeah, like in fairness, the biggest piece of magic in that game was Chiellini dragging back Saka. It's just like.
But like this
my favorite part of that game.
But even like, I agree with you guys that we do need it, because otherwise, you just get stale games. You get stalemate games like the way Italy and England was an absolute like stalemate of a game until someone tried to do some magic, which is like what was the most interesting part of the game? Probably Chiesa.
Chiesa was the closest to magic. I think is when he took on 3 or 4 defenders in the box and got that shot. Yeah.
Like, players, people don't pay to watch teams sit back and
No, you want that flair. You want
excitement.
You want that player where the other team has to make a plan. You have to plan for that player.
Yeah.
And that player just completely ruins that plan. Completely ruins it.
That's why that Barcelona team is like that. Like, that's a whole different topic again. But what I consider the best club team ever. Where in 2011, where it beat United 3-1. And you can't account for some of the play. You just can't. How do you defend? Okay, you can set up a defense, but like then you have to worry about Messi breaking every line that you ever set up, and then not just only Messi, you still have Iniesta then behind him who will also break lines.
Yeah.
They just don't care for these structures or whatever. They can just they can just have moments of pure quality and just waltz through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's another discussion as well. Is also defending now compared to that.
Yeah, no, that needs to be definitely discussed.
Yeah.
Is there any more
player just from Italy? 2 more, 2 10s, Totti and Del Piero.
See, this is the thing, is that like this is where I think me and Vin are very, very.
I don't think we're educated enough on this.
No, because then like even if you kind of look at like the games and goals to games ratio, was it the Totti have like 300 goals in like 700 games for Roma?
Something close to that, yeah.
Yeah, and like I know like the stats don't mean everything because he's a god there. But it's like from the outside looking in, it's kind of like I don't know whether it was massive was there a massive call for him to be bought by? I think Real Madrid wanted to buy Totti, but other than that, like
2000, I think he wanted it. I think he should have won the Ballon d'Or that year, and then I think Figo won it. I think Figo apologised to him, saying sorry for the Ballon d'Or. Loved it.
But
I
do
think
you think
300 goals,
Figo Magic.
plus goals in 700 games. It's almost 1 in 2 for number 10.
for number 10? Yeah.
Second
I remember in Italy at that time.
in Italy in that time.
Do you think
Whereas-
do you think that they're Magic done?
Absolutely.
Where would they go?
Where do we have? Have we got that list?
Yeah. So Pogba's the 5. Henry and Kaká are the 6. At 7.75 is Cantona. Zidane's the 8.
I'm sure probably will put a little list, put a little scale on the recording. That would be good.
Cantona and Zidane.
So you put them there at that 8. Like if Cantona has a 7.5 and they're the 7.75. Like they're just there the shades.
I'd say they can almost get the 8. I think when Zidane left, the primary reason we sold Zidane to Real Madrid was because Del Piero was coming through. We had that next piece of magic coming through, and in his early years, he was definitely magic. He lost that bit of pace when he got his knee injuries, but the fact that they both played to 35, they never relied on their physical ability.
Yeah.
Pure technique.
Yeah.
And I think Del Piero got standing ovation at Real Madrid. I think age 33, he scored 2 goals. Like one similar to the Suarez one, where he just no right to shoot from there after being a player. Just shot it, bent it around Casillas.
Magic then.
Magic.
Okay. We'll take your word for it then.
Yeah,
It's
we-
like
we
I'm gonna have to say some clips to justify this, but once I do,
we'll put it in the bracket. Like they're outside. They're standing kind of near to Scholes and Javi and Alonso. They're kind of like, what are you guys doing over here? It's like we're just getting checked, and now we're going on to the Magic seesaw. Like Totti and Del Piero at the 8 with Zidane. It's like,
So who do you have at the very bottom of the?
here, I'll send you a picture. It's easier. Because now we have Haaland at the end, because that's kind of going towards the elemental.
Okay, so if I put in an image, I might be able to get this on the scale here. This the left hand. Oh, that's a terrible image. But what can you do? So Ronaldinho.
Dan, did you ever see much of Nedved?
he was when I was a little bit younger, but I did, yeah.
Because like he's a Ballon d'Or winner as well, and like he was supposed to be the one. I thought he was the one that actually did replace Zidane, didn't he? When he left before Del Piero came to the pump.
He was the one they bought with the money, but he wasn't the reason. Like I say, Del Piero was the reason why they were like, it's okay, Zidane goes. But I think Nedved, Buffon, and Thuram was one they bought with the money. Just 3 excellent buys. Nedved was he magic?
He took the 2002 Ballon d'Or away from Henry.
No, I think you got that wrong. It was the 2004 Ballon d'Or
Henry deserved both of them. Just saying, but whatever.
I don't know.
I'm regretting buying that picture now.
Henry deserved both of them, but like it's all right. That's fine.
2004 was Andrei Shevchenko, wasn't it?
2004 Shevchenko, yeah.
Yeah. 2003 was Nedved because he got him to the Champions League final,
Which I guess is fair.
and then missed it through suspension. Sadly.
Bit like
wouldn't say it was
Roy Keane.
Skulls, yeah.
So I made a bad scale. It's on the. I'll take a picture and send it to you guys.
God, that's fucking awful.
Have a look at that.
That was exactly what I want. Like you want their heads on it, like just. Is there like a play area around the side? It's just like a playmaker park, like a dog park for like Pirlo. Yeah, playmaker park there on the side.
Let me stick a. Who was a 5? Pogba.
Yeah,
Was it?
Pogba at 5. Yeah.
I'm kind of. I kind of want to move him down a little bit. Not gonna lie. And then there's Pogba. There we go. That's a nice nice terrible scale we have. So this is the. Alright. So for those watching, this is our scale we've been talking about. Whereas left hand side is pure elemental, with not much magic or nearly zero magic, and Haaland and Mbappe and the likes. Well, Mbappe maybe a 2 or whatever you said. But then the other end of the scale, we have Ronaldinho, Messi, Maradona, the ones who take care of their seat and just. It's just basically like it's showmanship, isn't it? At that stage, in a way.
Even if they're crippled, they manage it.
Yeah.
And they were for a lot of the time. Maradona and Ronaldo, they were crippled at certain times in their career, and they still produced.
Any more things you guys want to talk about regarding Magic and players?
Not particularly. I think that like the lack of Magic players nowadays is much more of a. We'll go into a discussion about like new age coaching and stuff. So that's for like a different time.
How about
Do you see any players you think there could be a spark?
It's impossible to tell, isn't it? But me and Kay, I guess, probably agree. Should be Magic, but he isn't for many reasons. I guess Yao Felix. Why isn't he Magic?
Maybe, but like he's just so well. In fairness, he's getting smothered at Atletico. Like I watch Atletico, he just does not suit that team.
Yeah.
And he probably could have been, but like I think he would have turned into the sort of player that Kaká was, where he had a decent bit of magic, but like he wouldn't become like Ronaldinho.
No.
Anywhere near that. Like, there's no one in England. Maybe Grealish. I don't think Foden's gonna have much.
No.
Italy, I'm not so sure. Like, there's no one off of Inter.
Juventus, Paulo Dybala is probably the closest to Magic in Italy, I would say.
Yeah, and he's not even that Magic, is he?
When I first saw him, I thought he was going to be the closest thing to, obviously not Messi's level, but the closest person to replicate his playing style. The way he beats a man, not through a trick, but just through. Those players just get past.
Yeah.
Messi doesn't normally do a step over or he just gets past them. He just goes.
Yeah, he just waits till that perfect amount of space opens and he just goes past.
Thing. And then I think Dybala plays like that, just obviously not at the same level, but you could also find a pass, see that space. But
I don't think there's any players.
The change of the managers, but he just not reached that, or what I thought he'd get to.
It's tough for Dybala, like just me reading from an outside source, like especially when Ronaldo came in, it's just he was the player that like Juve technically should have like started to build their team around if they believed in him, but
yeah, I agree, absolutely agree.
Because like I remember the Champions League final they got to, and it was like him, Pogba, Morata, like, and they had the core of like. They had a core of a team that if they had kept that team together for 5 years, I think Morata would have been a different player. Dybala would have been a different player. Pogba would have probably achieved what everyone thought he would achieve. But
yeah, I feel sorry for Morata as a player. I feel like he's just
same.
I do feel sorry for him, but at the same time,
when I first saw him play, he reminded me a little bit like Torres, a little bit explosive,
willing runner.
Yeah, just. Very, very confident player. Very confident player.
Okay, I guess. So, any last words before we close off our first podcast?
How long was that? Is you a timer there, Vin?
Hour and 18. I mean, that's an average podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, but like what's it called? If we're gonna keep it tight, like I think maybe we should change the name. It wasn't fucking tight.
But like it's some topics are gonna be shorter than others, some topics are gonna be longer than others, and it's just the way it is. I guess we can't account for that. Like,
yeah, this was a philosophy heavy podcast. Is the like what is magic, like what is elemental?
It's very subjective, isn't it?
Yes, 100%. But I think most people who watch football, who have an eye for football and play it themselves, can identify the difference between Haaland and Ronaldinho. It's very obvious. From the get-go.
That scale is pretty. I mean, you would have your Messi's, your Ronaldinho's at one end, and your Haaland's at the other end.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess that will conclude the first episode of our potentially called Keep It Tight podcast. As
under advisement. There, like alongside Totty and Del Piero there, like more clips in just to see.
So that's a goodbye then from me, Vinny, one of the three co-hosts, alongside Killian and Dan, and yes, we'll make a decision on what we'll talk about next time, and then off you go. Thanks for listening.
Cheers.